Hey, you folks. I'm Alan. If you know me, welcome back. If you don't, settle in. Today is Thursday, August 6, 2026, 9:01 in the PM. Davao, Philippines. How are you all doing? Uh, I was out at a little expat get together, little cafe near where I live. And one of the fellows there, a former Marine, and he'd done a bunch of traveling, and he was asking me, well, am I here permanently? That's kind of a complicated question, but I think where the conversation turned to was more informative, and that's about visas. So that's what I wanted to talk about today, because the Philippines has a lot of visas, a lot of visa options, and I'm not gonna step through all of them, but I am gonna step through three that I feel like are the most relevant to me. Like I can speak to them because I've had to look into them for my situation because I'm married to a Filipina. So let's just step into that and see what that looks like. For me, it comes down to basically three options because I'm in my 50s. I'm not retired. I keep myself pretty busy with online work. So there's a tourist visa, the Balikbayan, and then the 13A spousal visa. So let's just go through these one at a time, the whys and the why nots. So the tourist visa, that's going to run you around 3 to 4K pesos every renewal. Durations are usually 1, 2, or 6 months to a max of 36 months. So 3 years. After 36 months, you do what the locals call a visa run. Basically, you head out somewhere, Thailand, for example, for 48 hours. Then you come back, and that whole tourist visa, I think it's the 9A, it resets. All right. That's what most folks will do here. The Balikbayan is a bit newer, and that's only available to folks who have a Filipino spouse. Right? The both of you leave together to another country. You come back together. That's important. And you have to have a certified copy of your marriage certificate. If you do that, then right there at customs, you can say, hey, I've got a Filipino spouse. Here's my marriage certificate. I would like to apply for a Balikbayan visa, not just the standard 29-day tourist visa that I get as a U.S. citizen. That Balikbayan shouldn't cost you anything extra, and it lasts for a year. All right. So the costs associated with the Balikbayan visa are the costs of the travel, basically. So you have to do some math to figure out, well, okay, um, what's that flight look like for yourself and your spouse, round trip, and this is where people get got, all right, make sure that you have an onward ticket by whatever means necessary. Your Filipino spouse doesn't need one. You, sir, madam, or NB, you need one. Um, Otherwise, they're not gonna let you through that airport, man. So that's the Balikbayan. Of the three, to me, that one seems the best. But again, that's provided that you're traveling somewhere. So, for example, for me, when I hit that 3 year mark, I have to leave the country anyways. So, provided Andy doesn't get offloaded, the Balikbayan is probably what I'm going to go with. In, oh shit, I've been here a little over a year, so in 2 years. All right, the third option, the 13A spousal visa. So, this is a lot of work. This can take 2 to 3 months minimum to apply for this, and that's important to understand. You can't leave the country You need to be I mean, they say you don't need to be here, but you need to be here for 2 to 3 months. So this is best for people who are here in the Philippines and who are not traveling. All right. Or who don't have a need to travel internationally. And it is the worst fit for me because I work as a contractor and a freelancer for software development. Sometimes I need to be located in the U.S. for a contract or for a job. Or, like in the case with the setup I work in now, we have a company get together. I could wind up in Tbilisi, Georgia, man. And that's like the agility, the flexibility that I need to deal with bouncing around for international travel means that the 13A is not a good fit for me. So when invariably the Bureau of Immigration asks me questions, and they haven't yet, but I am certain that they will. Why, I'm married to a Filipino. Why don't I, to a Filipino citizen, why don't I have the 13A? It's the travel restrictions. It's the travel reasons. I have to travel for work. So for now, excuse me, for now, the 9A is the best fit for me. Now there are still some travel restrictions or some friction with the 9A, and that's specifically for anyone who's been in the Philippines for longer than 6 months. Let me double check my notes here. Okay, yeah. So if you've been in the Philippines for over 6 months, when you can't just leave the Philippines. No, they want to make sure that you have been a good boy or a good girl for your entire length of stay here. That means your happy butt has to go down to the Bureau of Immigration. Uh, they say anywhere between 7 to 30 days, like 2 weeks before your flight is probably optimal because you have to get where it's called an ECCA, exit restrictions and fees. It's here we go, immigration clearance certificate. And that is basically they're doing a quick check to make sure you didn't break any laws, you aren't wanted for anything, that you're not fleeing the country because you're a criminal. That is going to run you up to the tune of about $50. It's roughly 2,800 to 3,000 pesos. And that's just the tourist visa. All right. Balikbayan, I don't think you really run into that. The 13A visa. Okay, this is where this gets to be a problem. The Philippines is going to charge you for leaving. Once you get the 13A, they're going to hit you for leaving. They're going to hit you on the way back in. And the grand total for those fees is about $60. So don't let yourself get into a position where the sticker shock of those fees surprises you. All right. There's also, with the 13A, there's more work you have to do on your end when you leave the Philippines. Once you've got that visa, they want to know you're coming back. So some of the restrictions that a Filipino citizen goes through, like showing paperwork, showing a rental agreement or a property, or just investments that you've made locally, like you're married to someone or you have children, you have a child or children here, to prove that they are coming back. You now also are on the hook for showing to the Philippine government to prove that you are coming back. In case you can't tell from the tone of my voice, none of that is appealing to me. The less the government, any government, is involved with my travel plans, the happier a human being I am. I'm not saying all regulation is bad. Regulation obviously has its merits. I just don't want the government involved in my international plane ticket, man. So, and again, you don't travel a whole lot. You're here in the Philippines. You're essentially retired. You're just living out your days here. You're married to a Filipino citizen. The 13A is fine for you, man. For someone like me, where I may need to scramble a bit geographically for a job or a role or an employment opportunity, it's the worst possible fit for me. And those are the visas, or at least those are the ones that are I've had to really look into. There are more, like, what is it, the SRRV? There's retirement visas that you can get here in the Philippines, and how much those cost differs depending on whether or not you are retired military, for example. The Philippines gives some pretty substantial, not necessarily benefits, but cost saving incentives for vets to come and be here. They make it easier. Um, so I would really, if you're thinking about coming here and in a more permanent or semi-permanent fashion, like 6 months on, 6 months off, it's worth it to reach out and talk to a professional when it comes to the visas, because trying to get through the Philippine government website can be onerous. So definitely, if you're wondering about your options, uh, find a legal professional over here, have a talk with them, send them some emails saying, "Hey, this is my situation. Uh, what are my options look like?" Because there's even like business or investment visas where if you have a business here in the Philippines, it's easier for you to come over. Or if you're invested, like, what is it, 20, 30,000 some odd USD in specific Filipino stocks and bonds, then you can you can basically have a visa, a multi visit visa to come to the Philippines. You're essentially buying a visa. But I don't have enough details to go into those in any great depth. Anywho, that's about it from me. What has your experiences been like with visas, and why? Drop a comment. Let me know. Do you stick with the 9A for the tourist visa? Have you gotten the Balikbayan? What was that process like for you? Or have you just like settled down and kind of set down roots and gotten a 13A? Like, I'd be curious to hear what those experiences were like for you. That's about it for me. For Boy, this Thursday, this week is flying by. I get to go to work in a couple hours. Anyhow, as always, folks, take care, be good to yourselves, and stay safe out there. It's a crazy goddamn world.